Welcome back, friends, to another The City of Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. Lids87 here, and today I am bringing you guys another Are They Worth It video, where I cover units on an upcoming banner or unit to see if they are worth your precious tickets and or gems, and in this case, it's going to be Vivi's LD weapon. Before I get into it though, friends, please remember to hit that like and subscribe button. And of course, shoutouts, just giving shoutouts and credit to where I pull all my stats from, all my resources from, all that wonderful stuff. So of course the database, the materia bot from Discord, and the City of Final Fantasy Opera Omnia compendium. All right, so I will leave the links down below in the description, except the materia bot because that is in the Discord. But I will leave all that wonderful stuff down below in the description if you would like to use those resources for yourself. Okay, friends, so for the very first time, we are going to be getting a global burst, and that is going to be Vivi's LD. Now, with this, they did make a special announcement during the Square Enix live stream that going forward for the anniversaries, there will no longer be global first characters. They're going to switch it up and do global first LDs. I mean, pros and cons, right? Pros because it gets some units off of the bench, like Zell, Fang, Ash, just some of those characters that need some love that haven't received anything yet on the JP side of the game, just so we could potentially see what they can do, because some of their kits they're pretty good. For example, like Ash, she can paralyze with her EX weapon. Fang has HP damage up in her additional ability, so that's how it's going to be going forward. But on the con side, right, we can't. No Thunder God Sid, Riku, Nanaki, potential global first. So unfortunately, that's how it's going to be. But again, we could see just other units come off of the bench. But in this case, Vivi, he just got a rework not that long ago, and now he's getting an LD weapon and he's getting a costume. And this is going to come on October 28th UTC time. So literally the day after making this video. All right, friends. So let's go ahead and quickly recap Vivi. If you're already familiar with Vivi and you would like to skip ahead, I'm going to put timestamps down below in the comments. So look for them there if you're familiar with Vivi. Now, some pros about Vivi is a pure magic fire attacker. This guy hits like a freaking truck, okay? He has some of the highest attack buffs in the game. Just his generic attack buff that he grants himself with focus is at 120%. That's just that one buff. He has several other attack potency buffs in his kit. He is able to imperil his own element fire with his EX weapon and now his LD, and he is receiving an LD. He is receiving an LD as a global first, giving him Lufenia viability long term. Okay, so recap of his abilities: fire plus first ability. Press the button, does damage. Now this is at a 90% potency. I did check, and this is at Arden's potency. Arden, his brave hits are also at 90% and totaling out to 360%. Focus heals brave, damages, grants himself buffs, which we will talk about a little bit later in this video. 90% brave potency. Meteor, his ZX ability, lots of damage, inflicts fire resist down on all enemies. This will grant him double black magic. Let's talk about Vivi's buffs. Now his first one is attack up for 8 turns, 120% attack up potency. Very high attack up potency. It is generic though, so careful when you're stacking massive amounts of buffs on Vivi. Grants himself max brave up 8 turns by 100%. Black Mage's Torch, 10 turns, plus 10% to attack, plus 20% to max brave. Double Black Magic, 4 turns. This will give him a brave regen of 100% of his int brave, and this will grant him access to double Fire Plus, which is pretty much his upgraded HP attack. Now, on top of this, Vivi is one of those select few characters that was given cursed artifacts. So if you're coming into the game a little bit newer, cursed artifacts, there was a select number of characters that received very powerful artifact passes, but in the community they became known as cursed artifacts, just because with the doja rates in order to get the red passes, right, the best stats, it was hard to pair those up with, like, for example, attack 108, and in this case Vivi's buffs attack speed 2 stars, because what this is going to do for Vivi is this is going to further increase his attack by 20% and plus 10% to speed, while he with any current active buff, so totaling out to 60% attack up and 30% speed up with buffed attack speed on top of attack 108s. With the upcoming Doja change, you will be able to farm these a little bit more easier if you have the Mog Pass. Okay, that's the one downside to that, is you're gonna have an easier time if you have purchased the cheaper Mog Pass. It doesn't have to be the premium Mog Pass. It can be the cheaper one, and you guaranteed to get red artifacts, but of course the range, the RNG is still there depending on the stat, depending on the CP cost, so that is still there. Now I did my best to add up everything, okay, just so you guys can see how much of attack buff this Vivi can give himself. This guy can give himself buffs. EX, LD is already included. Crystal passives, his artifact passives, plus 360% to attack, plus 280% to max brave, and plus 50% to speed. This guy is gonna, he hits hard, friends. He hits hard. Now, EX Plus recommendation. At this point going forward, if you're going to be having a magic attacker, any form of attacker, not just magic attacker, any form of attacker, you want to invest in them all the way 3 out of 3 to give you the best possible chance to beat Lufenia content. So you want to 3 out of 3 this guy. Time to take a look at Vivi's LD weapon, Black Mage Staff from Final Fantasy IX Global First. All right, that means JP has not seen this yet. Okay, so straight from the Square Enix live stream. So Vivi's LD ability is called Doomsday. Now, Vivi will have 3 uses of this. Now, this will consume 30% of each party member's HP in order to use this. But this will do Brave plus HP attacks, that is Fire and Dark based, times 2. And this is going to be 100% AoE HP damage. Now, during the trailer, if I remember, I will put the trailer down below in the description. On the trailer, he was capping out on HP damage. So the first Brave plus HP attack sets, 99,999. Same thing with the second one. So that's a lot of damage. Not only that, this will inflict fire resist down on all the enemies for 8 turns on the first HP attack. So if for some reason the first sets of Brave hits are being a little resisted, then the second set will do its full damage. Not only that, these Brave hits, they ignore defense. That's very powerful, guys. I can't tell you how strong that is. Okay, so right now he's gonna absolutely shit on content. Absolutely, right now, shit on content. All right, we'll talk about Lufenia. Now, after using this will grant him 5 stacks of a new special effect called Memories of the Soul. Now, what this does is this will grant him plus 40% to attack. This will enhance him with fire because some of his kit does non-elemental damage. So now everything is fire based, letting him dish out more damage because of that fire resist down. This will prevent him from taking a fatal HP attack if his HP is above 50% HP, and if he is attacking enemy's weakness, which he should be doing constantly because he can inflict fire resist down. This will give him an additional plus 20% to Stolen Max Brave Overflow. Now, every time Vivi acts, every time it's after his turn, and if he has at least 1 stack of Memories of the Soul, this will trigger Embers of Darkness, a follow-up attack. You can even use this, just use his additional ability. This will trigger Embers of Darkness. Now, this will consume 1 stack of Memories of the Soul. This will consume 15% of each party member's current HP. More HP is being drained from your party members, right? You got to give some life to hit harder, right? That's what Black Mages do. That's what Dark Knights do. This will increase his Brave by 70% of attack, so he is Brave healing, followed by 1 set of Brave plus HP attacks that ignore defense, and this is also Fire Dark based. This will increase Brave by 20% of HP damage dealt, aka he is getting Brave refund after his follow-up attack, protecting him from getting broken if the enemy's turn is after Vivi. Now, all in all, this is a very powerful LD ability, Doomsday, at the cost of consuming your own party members, not just Vivi, your party members' current HP. Only Vivi can survive the fatal hit because his special effect saves him as long as his HP is above 50% HP. So you are going to need a good HP healer on the team. So with his massive attack stats already on Vivi, with this ignoring defense, with him being able to inflict fire resist down, he's going to be hitting very hard, and with the follow-up attack just hits even harder. But again, it's going to be at the cost of your party member's HP. But This can be a benefit depending on your summons, on whatever summon you decide to bring. Just to name a few, Odin, when your party member's HP drop below 80% for the very first time, this will raise your party member's attacks by 30%. If you decide to bring Diabolos, once your HP falls below 80%, boost elemental weakness attack by 50%. So if you're running a full elemental team, they could definitely benefit from this. Or if you want a little bit more HP healing, bring Alexander, because then Alexander will grant your party a 15% HP regen for 10 turns to heal you back up after Vivi acts, so to say, after using the LD or Embers of Darkness is triggered. Cons about Vivi is, first and foremost, is you're going to need a Mog Pass to increase your chances to get the best in slot artifacts for Vivi. You're going to want Attack 108, and you're going to want his buff attack speed 2 stars. Drains party members HP upon using his LD ability or Embers of Darkness is triggered. That's a huge red flag, because you could potentially be putting your party members at risk, especially if you do not have a good HP healer. Dark is in his LD, can lock him out of some content, and vice versa with Fire. If Fire is absorbed, that will lock him out of said content. So it's kind of like he's powerful, but there are some restrictions that comes with that power. Now, he does have 4 buffs that he does put on himself. 2 of them are generic, so be very careful if you bring a party member that applies a bunch of buffs to your party members, especially if they're in frame, because you're going to push off Vivi's a very potent attack up buff, and there goes a huge chunk of his damage. He does have his special effect, but that doesn't count because it's a special effect and it's just an icon above Vivi's head. And comp-wise, depending on your comp, because there are some party members that can't survive lethal, Vivi only grants himself the ability to survive lethal hit as long as his HP is above 50% HP. So keep that in mind, especially as we head into the Lufenia era, because you could potentially get wiped out if you're not careful with your HP. All right, friends, so that wonderful question that we're all asking ourselves, is he worth it? Is Vivi's LD worth your tickets and or gems? Now, this is throwing a wrench, okay, into a lot of our plans. Of course, this was a huge surprise. Final Fantasy IX fans, rejoice. There goes your gems, right? This was a huge surprise, so very excited, but also very scary for our gems. Now, at this moment, I do not know, at this very moment, at the time of making this video, I do not know who his banner mates are going to be. I am going to assume it's Steiner and Eiko because they were in the trailer with him, okay? So that's the assumption. Also, at this very moment, I do not know if there will be a burst weapon on the banner, not unless they decide to surprise us with like a Zidane LDM burst level first. But I'm going to assume that there is no burst weapon on here. If there will be one, if, quote, end quote, I'm going to assume it's going to be Kefka's, because Warrior of Light is going to be next week, okay? Warrior of Light's LD and burst is next week. So if there is one, it might be Kefka's. Don't quote me on that, but it might be. We will find out soon. Okay, so Vivi on his own, Vivi can take care of himself when it comes to damage and his own stats, all right? So he can imperil his own element, fire. So he's going to be dishing out that much more damage with his fire attacks. With his LD and additional ability, he can also enchant himself for fire. So the non-elemental brave hits that he has in his kit now deal fire, letting him dish out that much more damage. Now he does have dark with his LD and Embers of Darkness. So if you can find someone to imperil dark for him, that just lets him dish out that much more damage. Vivi has some of the most potent attack up buffs in the game. All right, so you guys saw with his own attack up buff, his generic one, 120% all in total. And again, if I did my math correctly, if I got everything correctly, plus 360% to attack, plus 280% to max rate, plus 50% to speed. That's if you can acquire his buff attack speed. 2 stars, his cursed artifact. So Vivi is taking care of himself stat wise. He is boosting up his own damage. He hits like a freaking truck, okay? Now, with Vivi's LD weapon, this is going to ignore defense. At least the brave hits are. This does not ignore brave damage reduction, at least to my knowledge. Brave damage reduction is what we currently see in chaos fights, and there will be a 70% brave damage reduction with Lufenias. So keep that in mind. This will only ignore defense, which could be very beneficial, especially if a boss, they massively buff their defense. And now Vivi will also follow up every time he acts, okay? With 3 uses of his LD, grants him 5 stacks of his special effect, so he will have 15 stacks, aka 15 follow-ups. So I would recommend you hold on to that LD as long as possible, at least until you're on the final wave. But with Vivi's LD and his LD ability, this will consume the party member's HP. Be very, very careful of that. Take a HP healer onto your team. You have to cover up for this. You just have to. So bring Aerith to massively heal your party members. Bring Bosch so he could take the pressure off of your other party members. Bosch will still be drained of HP, but Bosch can heal himself. All right, so letting your other 2 party members just dish out as much damage as they want without having to worry about their HP. Or later down the line, bring someone like Gladio, who's an excellent attacking tank that can self-sustain himself and also evade enemy attacks with his LD. But because he can also drain party members' HP, this will let you activate some of these summon buffs right off the bat. For example, like Odin, when your HP drops below 80% of max HP, your party members will permanently get plus 30% to attack for the remainder of the fight, just giving you a huge damage boost. Now, as having all this wonderful information, okay, Vivi on his own, without his LD, you could use him on some earlier Lufenias, as long as you could build properly, right? That's what Lufenia is going to be all about. You have to build your team compositions properly to do damage, to buff up your party members, and to meet the Lufenia special counter. Because if you can't do that, you're gonna die. So with team compositions in mind, Vivi with his LD, I can see him being Lufenia viable because he massively buffs himself, so he's going to be dishing out a lot of damage. So here is your magic attacker. Now, before I talk about my recommendations, keep in mind that the first multi-draw is going to be free, so you could potentially pick up Vivi's LD weapon for free. All right. Now, with tickets, yes, I really do think that Vivi is worth the tickets. He's a good magic attacker, and the fact that Global has, different content, for example, like Abyss, just another unit to use on your team compositions. Gems, I'm going to say this: if you're a Final Fantasy IX fan, pity. Aside from that, ask yourself, do you need a magic attacker, and do you have a good healer? Because if you do not have a good healer on your team composition, if you just have someone that does HP regen, it's very low over time, you're going to die in Lufenia. All right, you're gonna die. So if you have some more recent units, like for example, if you have Strago, he's a good magic attacker. He's Lufenia viable. Emperor, who gets a burst later down the line. If you're asking yourself, if you need Vivi's LD, but you already have those units, you can pass up on Vivi. You should be just fine. But if you are looking for a magic attacker, Vivi, I can tell you right now, just from reading what his LD does, and the fact that you're gonna put an HP healer on your team. You're going to put an HP healer on your team. You're going to put an HP healer on your team. Vivi will be Lufenia viable. How long? That depends on your team compositions. I could see him going perhaps maybe midway Lufenia, right? Pair him up with Lightning with her LD and Burst just to further boost up his Brave damage and HP damage. Pair him up with Kurosame to boost up his HP damage. So as long as you can come up with a proper team composition, I do think Vivi's LD weapon is worth it if you need a magic attacker and if you have a healer. But if you have those and if you need a magic attacker, then I would say that Vivi for sure is Lufenia viable, and he is a good magic attacker to pick up. That is it for this video, friends. I want to thank you guys for watching my Is Vivi's LD Worth It? Be sure to let me know down below in the comments what you guys think overall. Me personally, I've always liked Vivi in this game. I like Vivi in the actual game. So yes, I will be chasing after Vivi's LD, and I do want to do a showcase video for you guys, just so any of you that are still undecided. So I will be chasing with gems during my live stream, and I will also be holding a thank you, 5,000 subscriber thank you giveaway, and I will be giving away 5 mog passes during my live stream. It should be October 27th. Be sure to keep an eye on my Twitter or my Discord. Links are down below in the description, to just in case something changes and when I do go live. All right, friends. So aside from that, I will be chasing for Vivi's LD, and then I will be doing a showcase video. All right, friends. So let me know down below in the comments your overall thoughts of Vivi's LD, Lufenia viability. Let's keep it civil. All right, friends. It's a global first. He is a liked character, but let's keep it civil. All right, friends. Fair points all below in the comments. So until next time, friends, good luck and have a good one.